keep recording this conversation because it keeps going, and talking about if someone actually designed the fair who loved the fair, it would be a really fun fair, right? And having that connection to what you love. And I was thinking about these weird pop-up museums. I went to one when I lived in LA. It was an ice cream museum. I didn't learn anything about ice cream other than I think Queen Anne liked mint chocolate chips, something like that. I still remember the one fact I learned. It was 35 or 40 bucks a head. It was in an industrial warehouse part of LA, and basically they popped up a place where you could take cool selfies. That was all it was, a banana room with hanging bananas and all this stuff, and people were taking selfies. But think of that. I'm going to a place to take pictures that make it look like I'm having fun. I'm not actually having fun, but the act of taking the picture and posting it is my idea of having a good time.
Facebook has done wonders for
Facebook
society.
and Instagram.
Done wonders.
Wonders for people, and living vicariously through the idea, which is what he's hitting on, the idea that I'm having a good time. Because if other people think I'm having a good time, that must mean I am. Even though I went to the ice cream museum and I thought it was so stupid. Like I said, that was the one tip I learned. There was a gift shop. There was some art.
Always a gift shop at the end of the tour.
Always a gift shop with like these weird like ice cream cones that have been smashed on the wall that was supposedly art, hitting at his point of art. I was like, really? Sorry if the artist of that ever starts to watch this, but really, come up with something more creative. And then we call it an ice cream museum, right? And then you get some ice cream, of course, as you're walking through. Some samples, but minimal, really, for the cost to go in. And that's someone who's pulling huge chicanery on their customers. I was like, you are cleaning up. They are making so much money. You just need the money to pop this up so people can record themselves having the idea of having fun, and other people can be like, wow, that looks really cool. But no one is actually having a good time. The person watching is feeling worse about their life because they're not in the cool selfie station. And the person who just walked it thinks they had a good time.
I'll post these later.
Or just, thinks that something happened because they share it. There's really something to this. And how do we get back to really enjoying our lives and really producing things we care about? You can't have an economy of scale. You can't be, as he said here, a money-mad manufacturer. But you can make something you love to do and that other people love as a result too. The circus started that way. The fair started that way.
Bring people together. Have a good
Something
time.
fun to do. People don't have anything fun to go do. Even movies. I mean, they're so overly manufactured, and they're telling the same story, usually about war. I was listening to something this morning. Earl Nightingale was talking about, I mean, he's like from the 50s, the 40s or 50s, and he's talking about the average person and why they don't live an extraordinary life. And he goes through what they do. They go to work, they copy what everyone else is doing, they come home, they say to their wife, I'm tired, because probably they heard their dad saying they were tired. He probably was actually tired, okay? And then this guy sits down, turns on the boob tube, and this is the 50s, turns on the boob tube and zones out for like 6 hours. And he's like, what does the boob tube get you? It gets you red eyes and an empty head. That's what he said. And then you go to bed, and then you do it all over again. And here we are, as it changed it all. No, we're spending just as much time in front of a screen.
With it.
But at least it's with us all the time, right? It's not even in my living room. Oh, but what he said was, he's like, and normally he turns it on to watch a bunch of people in costumes reliving or showing a battle that happened however long ago. He's like, that's not even present. And even then, he said, experts are saying that you can see more violence on TV, and then he quotes, than some like warlord who crucified 6,000 people on his way from, I don't know, Constantinople to Rome or something like that.
I couldn't tell you how many people I will have technically seen die.
We can't even imagine how many murders
so far
we have seen. I can't imagine how many you've seen die either. You've watched a lot of TV and violence. I can't even watch violence anymore. It shows up in my dreams. Yesterday at the fair, we were walking some exhibits by children on archery, and I had violent dreams about like using a bow and arrow to murder people. So I love that. Highly susceptible, but it also means that like I really need to be focused on the good and the positive, and those negative vibrations impact me. I see them for what they are, maybe. Other people are so desensitized. We shouldn't be okay with watching people die, with constantly being focused on weapons and death machines. I mean, these children were making art from shotgun shells. And they live in the country. Do you know how many flowers there are and all kinds of other forms of art? It's fascinating to think about how many deaths we've seen without even leaving the comfort of our own home, and that we would actually see more death than a warlord. Well, not a warlord, but would be a conqueror back in the day.
Well, there's still warlords.
Well, there are still warlords, that's true. But that we're seeing more violence than that. Why? It's absurd. And that's where we're spending all of our time and not actually doing what it talks in here, acting from inspiration, getting inspired, and then having action. That's going to make us feel alive. What are we doing?
You know what Oktoberfest started?
What?
His wife got kicked out of the local fair for being drunk. So he decided to start his own carnival for his wife, and he invited all his neighbors, and they could drink at the carnival because he was having the carnival. It wasn't very big. They could drink and have fun. And then everyone around the county started showing up, and Oktoberfest became a cultural event.
And that was
where
Oktoberfest.
You can have drink and have a carnival.
But the funny thing is now Oktoberfest doesn't have a carnival. It's just the drinking. That's all we do to have fun.
Just so he could have fun with his wife who had a drinking problem.
That's very German. But to your point on that is we've sort of added drinking as a fast track to thinking we're having fun, but we're really not. And that's one thing I love about you. We don't drink, and you are so good at having fun. And I feel like we're learning to generate actual sober fun so much more than 95% of society. Even yesterday at the fair, they were just starting to open up the bar tents and everything, and I guess it gets really busy at night because then of course people are going to drink, and then they're going to pay to do the really unfair
and ride one of those 6 rides.
And ride one of the 6 rides.
3 for children.
I couldn't believe the rides either. What was it? It was $40 for an unlimited ride wristband, and they were crappy rides. No, it was $62 to also get 40 credits for the games.
Yeah, 4 games.
So that would get you 4 of the rip-off games for $62 and unlimited rides, which the adults could go on maybe 1 or 2, and kids were the same price as adults.
Kids got to play till they won something.
Talk about a rip-off. Do they? No, they didn't.
That's what the one sign said. Kids get to play till they win. But again, that's only that first tier of prizes.
I didn't see that. I only saw that on the little rubber duckies that, like, then you won something, definitely. But either way, it's absurd. And I mean, some of those games, a child wouldn't win no matter how long they played it. So you would just have to you just give up eventually. Maybe they just give them a toy. And I didn't see any kids playing them. It was mainly the parents. So, used to be a thing, right? A guy wins his girlfriend a stuffed animal at the fair, and it used to be like a really cute thing. It's like you'd have to be insane just the waste.
They didn't have tiers of prizes before. They had just a prize.
Whenever I win, it was always tiers, and it was always a bit absurd. But it wasn't that absurd. Like I'm gonna have to drop $50 to $100 to go to the fair. It's nuts. Like that's even for your family. Like we saw people there with like 2 kids. If you wanted to go on the rides, you're spending $160 to $200. It's impressive.